Isaiah called Ah, the nation he was talking about, the nation that is now called Haiti, he called them the daughter of Zion. In Isaiah 1, verse 7 and 8, we read, "Your country is desolate. Your cities are burnt with fire. Your land, strangers devour it in your presence, and it is desolate, as overthrown by strangers. And the daughter of Zion is left as a cottage in a vineyard, as a lodge in a garden of cucumbers, as a besieged city." So you see, Isaiah called the nation Ah, the nation that he called Ah in Isaiah 1 verse 4, where he said, "Ah, sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity." He also called them the daughter of Zion. He also called them the branch, as in Isaiah 4 verse 2. "In that day shall the branch of the Lord be beautiful and glorious, and the fruit of the earth shall be excellent and comely for them that are escaped of Israel." And again, where we read in Isaiah 3, verse 16, "Moreover, the Lord said, because the daughters of Zion are haughty and walk with stretched forth necks and wanton eyes, walking and mincing as they go, and making a tinkling with their feet, therefore the Lord will smite with a scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and the Lord will discover their secret parts." And so we see that the prophets called Haiti the daughter of Jerusalem. There's also a good way to try and understand how the two nations might be related. In Ezekiel 23, we read, "Son of man, there were two women, the daughters of one mother, and they committed whoredoms in Egypt. They committed whoredoms in their youth. There were their breasts pressed, and there they bruised the teats of their virginity. And the names of one of them were Aholah, the elder, and Aholibah, her sister. And they were mine, and they bare sons and daughters. Thus were their names: Samaria is Aholah, and Jerusalem Aholibah." In many ways, we can also say that Aholah is ancient Judah, and Haiti is Aholibah. And if you read the entire chapter 23 of Ezekiel, you can begin to understand the parallel between the two. Now, if we look at Zechariah from verse 7, Zechariah chapter 2, verse 8, it says, "Hear now, O Joshua, the high priest, thou and thy fellows that sit before thee, for they are men wondered at. For behold, I will bring forth my servant, the branch." Now, throughout the Bible, the children of Israel are sometimes called the branch. But very often, the branch is used to talk about the seed of Jesse, the root of David. And it is that same seed of Jesse that's in Haiti right now, and throughout the Americas. It's not just one people, it's just that that was where the major center was. All of the islands were one. They were all the islands of Jamaica, so to speak, because in the Bible, Jam means west, and Jamin means to the right. And so the islands of the west are like the islands of Jam, Jam, as in Jamaica. And as we see in the name Jamaica itself, if you're looking from Israel, if you're looking down from Israel across the globe, you will find that Jamaica is to the right of Judah. One of the reasons why we know that we can look at the two sisters as ancient Judah and Haiti is in the name, Ahola. One of the roots of the word Ahola is Ohel. That's Ohel. That means tent or covering. It's also interesting to note at this point that King Solomon went to the land of Ophir, Ophir, where he found gold, where he probably left a colony. And the word Ophir, the most likely root for that word is Ophi, Ophe. Ophi means tent or to cover. That's one of the reasons why when Christopher Columbus came to the New World and saw all the gold plus whatever other evidence that he saw in Haiti, he wrote to the Queen in Europe that he had found where Solomon got his gold. He had found Mount Safar. And in fact, that mountain may yet be in Haiti. And so, as far as Columbus is concerned, he had found the land of Ophir. But when you look at the root word of Ophir, Ophe, meaning tent or cover, then it would make sense that Haiti would be the tent of the Lord if it is in fact New Jerusalem. That Haiti would be a cover to all those that seek the protection of God on her land. Columbus knew that. Again, Joktan is most likely Yucatan, as in the Yucatan Peninsula, right there in Central America. When we read verse 30th of chapter 10, it says, "And their dwelling was from Misha," which could be Mexico, "as thou goest unto Safar, a mount of the east." If you go from Yucatan and you go eastward to look for the border of the continent, you're going to end up on the islands. So it's quite possible that Mount Safar is in one of the islands of the Caribbean. The children of Israel who left early on, before the invading armies had a chance to get there, many of them were determined to go to a place far away, a place where their oppressors could not reach them. And that's what they did. Now, of the children of Israel who were resettled or who were taken captive, even many of them, when they were free, they became determined to go to a place where they would be free, free to plant, free to grow, free to worship God. Many of them ended up in the land of milk and honey, right here in the Americas. Evidence of this can be seen throughout American literature, throughout European literature of that era. In fact, Manasseh ben Israel wrote extensively on the subject, and he was convinced, as many of us are, that the children of Israel came to the Americas, in addition to going to Asia, Africa, Europe, and every place else. As the Father had said, he will disperse them unto the end of the earth, into all nations, all kingdoms. So today, they are in all nations, they are in all kingdoms, they speak all languages, and they look all colors, all types. Now, a lot of people say, if that's the case, how come you don't look Indian? Well, how does an Indian look? There was no term red man before the 1830s. An author wanted to write about India, and he needed to distinguish the Indians over there from the Indians in America. And so he came up with the word red man to describe the Indians in America. Before that, there was no red man. Before that, there was no white man. All these terms are relatively new. All these terms are meant to confuse, to divide, and to suppress. Now, let's consider for a second how people look in different parts of the world. If you started out in Israel and you went out 1,000 miles and did a circle using that 1,000 miles as a radius, you will find that within that 1,000-mile radius, you have people who are Caucasian up in Europe. You have people who are Arab in parts in Asia. And if you go south into Africa, you will find people of color. And so right there, within a 1,000-mile radius, you have many different types in a relatively small space. And so likewise in the Americas, two continents, what you would have are all types of people, all colors of people. That is the nature of things. You are what you eat. If you take a parakeet, that little bird, and you feed it blue, likely after a while he will turn blue. And if you feed him food that's another color, he will eventually turn to that color. Likewise, a person's features are a product of their environment, of what they eat, of where they live. And so when Columbus came to the Americas, it's logical that he would have found many, many different types. He would find people who are a little bit shorter because of the food that they eat. Maybe they eat a lot of fruits and vegetables and fish, and it grows in abundance. They don't have to travel far for their food. In northern climates, you might find people that are bigger, stronger, because of their diet, because of what their body needs to do in order to produce the food that they need to survive. They may need to hunt buffalo. They need to be faster. They need to be stronger. And so when Columbus came, he did not find just that one type that you see in the books. That is not possible. He found a multitude of people. In fact, over 1,000 nations. And so what you see in the movies represents only one type. What happens is over time, all the other types that did not fit the type that they want you to believe in, they assimilated into the rest of the population by denying their heritage, by telling them that they are only from Africa, or by telling them that they are the product of a mixture of Africa and Europe, keeping the truth away, that they had been in the land for about 2,000 years, and many people even longer. And once we begin to analyze these things, then the truth begins to unravel. When Columbus came to the Americas, he went to the islands. The islands are in the tropics. Most of the people he found there were of a black color. That's just biology. And when the other Europeans went up north, they found people who are lighter. And when they went to South America, they found people there that was representative of the environment and the food that they were eating.